we're going to be craning a table up into the second balcony here today.
If you guys watched our video from about a month ago, you'll remember we used some grafted walnut slabs that have English walnut and Clara walnut in a single piece of wood. We purchased about a dozen of those pieces from our supplier, and they went incredibly fast, as you guys can imagine, due to the incredible character in these pieces. And even since that last video, we ended up selling the remaining slabs that we got from this supplier. This isn't our first time getting these grafted slabs. We usually get a batch of them once, I'd say, about every year or 2 years, and they always end up selling as quickly as they did this time. So this client is doing a similar layout to the client from last month, but they aren't doing the extensions on the table. Instead, they're going to use the offcuts from the outside of the slabs to achieve the extra length they're looking for in one solid table. We're not going to cut this piece apart after. So what we've done to these slabs so far is we just skip plane them on our CNC machine. So that just means we partially flatten them so that they sit flat in the mold without rocking around. And then we're using a skill saw to cut them to their rough mold size. One tip that we can mention is always cut your pieces about 2 inches oversized before you put them in the mold. We like to use 1 inch all the way around. This way, if there's any imperfections on the outside, you can cut it down to that final size afterwards. Here you can see Garrett using some of our Black Forest CA glue to secure this knot in place before he picks out that bark. And this is another really critical step of the process, is cleaning off every last little bit of bark. Sometimes you may think that you have it good enough and there may be a few strands left, and that's okay. But I actually had a customer email me this week who he had done a pour and he just left that small cambium layer, it's called, that thin papery skin on the bark. And his pour did overheat and crack, but because he left his bark on, it actually caused the epoxy to separate away from the edge as well. So it's very, very critical to clean all of that off your edges. Something else that you can see us doing here is using an angle grinder just to clean up any of the sawn edges that are going to be in the pour. Sometimes with our slabs, there's a straight cut edge and we have to round them off just to get it looking nice. Once we've got the slabs prepped, we get them in the mold and then it's time to prepare for the pour. This client has selected a solid black base layer like many of our clients do. The main reason they selected this is to hide the mounting plates from the solid ash X base that's going to go underneath this table. We use 1/4 inch steel plates that mount into the underside of the wood, and they usually end up spanning across the resin. So if you don't do this solid black base layer, you're going to end up seeing those plates, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't think it necessarily looks bad, but it really just comes down to the client's preference. Once we've got our base layer partially cured, we can come along and begin to mix the resin to add the final top layer. Something else to keep in mind when doing base layers: when you go to add your top layer, you're going to need to cool your resin more than you usually would, because that base layer is going to act like an insulator and it's actually going to trap the heat that's generated by your top layer. So in our case, we're using aluminum water-cooled tables that our molds sit over, and we do have plans for those available on our website as well. We have circulating chilled water that goes beneath our entire mold, and that helps to control the exothermic reaction. Our room is air conditioned to 16 degrees Celsius, and we also have fans that blow over the surface. This is overkill for most people. If you're doing anything up to 3 inches, as long as you have air conditioning and fans, you'll be totally fine. Once cured, we can get the piece demolded and brought down to our CNC machine for flattening. When we do a pour, we usually leave a layer of excess resin on top, and that's so that we can fill in all the cracks and voids in a single shot without having to go back and do as much extra filling afterwards. There is almost always still extra filling, but it just makes our lives a little bit easier. Then once we have the piece flattened, we can sand it up to 320 grit using a Mirka sander. This piece is getting a spray finish, so that's why we're taking it to 320. That being said though, if we're doing an oil finish, we do sand up to the same grit. The only time we would really sand higher is if the client requested a polished finish, something with like a really high grit that we'd have to go up to 4,000 for. Then after sanding, it's over to Gecko so they can begin to spray their 2-component catalytic urethane. This is the most durable finishing option that we offer to our clients, but it does form a slight film over the wood, so I guess you could call that one downside to the finish. The other option that we offer is our Black Forest furniture oil topped off with our Black Forest ceramics. And what people really like about that is that it's the most natural looking and feeling finish that we offer. However, it is more susceptible to leaving watermarks and showing scratches than the polyurethane. So it really depends on the lifestyle of the client, you know, what their ultimate desire is. If they're more concerned about the feel and the look of their piece and they're willing to maintain it, I suggest oil. But if they just want to use this and not care about anything, then I suggest urethane. Okay, and in our video from 2 weeks ago, we asked you guys to guess the price of the monkey pod chairs that we created for our client in Florida. The price was 2.4 thousand Canadian dollars, and Joe Bro 181996 guessed that correctly. So we've got your gift here, Joe Bro. There you are. So that's an aromatic cedar charcuterie board with a solid black resin going through the middle. Nice, plain, simple, but beautiful piece here. So we'll respond to your comment with my email address. You can send us an email with your shipping information. But yeah, congratulations, Joe Bro. This is your new charcuterie board. This client also selected one of our signature X bases. I would say we probably do this space for over 50% of the tables that we produce. And it's not because we don't offer any options to our clients, it's just what everyone ends up picking. So we typically construct these from solid ash. We start with 12-quarter or 3-inch thick material, and then after assembling and gluing everything up using dowels and Titebond 3, we wire wheel the surface slightly to accentuate the grain, and then we apply a black stain to the outside of it, and this just gives a really clean, modern look to the ash. The ash is obviously still beautiful with a clear coat, but it doesn't quite pair as well with these tabletops. You'll notice once we get the top put together here, the black ash really pairs nicely with the black base layer on this table.
Okay, here we are. We're going to be craning the table up into the second balcony here today. The crane has showed up. Everything's on schedule here. Interesting little project for us today.
Okay, so you guys have the tape side, so just remember that, that's where...
So we're gonna unwrap the table, attach it, take pictures, wrap it back up, go home?
Yes. Yeah. We have 2 big long ones.
We're not carrying it over there. Once these guys are done, we'll just back the trailer right up there.
Well, we're still going to need more than one.
2 straps.
We're going to need at least 2. Okay. Sideways, if we have it flat, we should be able to have 2 people in the back rested on the 2 posts, get 2 people in the middle and just trying to like walk it in a little bit until we can get a better hold of it.
There we go. No wonder like that. So now we'll come tip. Okay, up she goes. Get underneath it, Garrett. Okay.
Alright, so we're not on our plywood there.
Oh, it's tilting. Leave it straight, right? It's just... Okay. All right. It's tilting a bit, guys.
You guys have to adjust yours again.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, can we see which way she goes?
Yeah, so they rotated it, so we're gonna lay it flat and just carry it and set it up.
Or just tilt it? Or do you want to come this way a bit? Because we got to lay it flat. There's not enough room there.
Go up.
Almost.
Sorry. Kind of stuck there.
Alright. You got it. Really? Yeah, a little more. Alright, start to come down. Come towards me.
Just get my pocket in first.
Yeah, okay, John's pocket is set. Brad, you gotta come towards the window. There you go.
That's it.
Okay, once you're done with the Allen key.
You guys able to just go walk?
And here we are with the table set up in our client's home. So you can see the interesting positioning they've got here. They're putting it in front of their stove, just so when they're working on the stove, they have a really easy and convenient table right behind them there. They only need about 18 inches of room to work between the stove and the table, so it's really nice for what they want to do. Now, obviously, I'm sure you guys can tell, this house is not finished yet. It's still in the finishing stages of the renovation, so we've temporarily set the table up here behind the stove. We're going to protect it in some foam, and then once they're ready, they can position it into its final spot. But take a look at those pieces of wood. You can really see the difference between the Clara walnut and the English walnut here. You can also really see the benefit of adding that base layer and how the live edge of the wood is perfectly visible beneath our clear black forest deep resin. And we couldn't have asked for a better client to work with. He was super pleased with this piece. He even gave all of our guys a tip, some money after, because they did such a nice job. So all around, just a 10 out of 10 experience.
Well, mission accomplished. Table's in, customers happy. We got it all wrapped up and packed up. The home is absolutely beautiful. A little bit rainy and cloudy out today, but a nice day for a drive.
Yes, it is. The mountains are nice.
Thanks. How'd you feel about the crane situation?
I thought it was gonna be sketchy, but it really wasn't. It went in very easily.